Hey everybody, Robert Dunt, top10.com. Here we are, pounding through London to get to the crest view of what I think it's called Beyond Surrealism. Anyway, it's actually a Surrealism exhibition at Tate Modern. Gonna head in there in a second. And here we are, Tate Modern, funky power station kind of thing. Gonna head in there and let's see what we can find, everybody. Okay guys, so we got into the Surrealism Beyond Borders exhibition. Here we are, just having a little snoop up, quick initial check of what's going down, and let's go for it. So, ooh, here we go. A little film to start things off. It's a little mini browse around just as we come in. Got the kind of funky, crazy, surreal doors. Rather cool, like that. Probably look really good on the camera. Let's have a little read of what it's about. Surrealism Beyond Borders. These are images commonly associated with Surrealism, a revolutionary cultural movement that prioritised the unconscious and dreams over the familiar and everyday. Sparked in Paris around 1924, Surrealism has inspired and united artists ever since. The exhibition traces its wide, interconnected impact for the first time, moves away from the Paris-centered viewpoint to shed light on Surrealism's significance around the world from the 20s to the 1970s. It includes artists who embrace the spirit of revolt and those who shared Surrealist ideas and values but never joined a group. It features some who have intersected with Surrealism at various points, working in parallel, inserted loosely or for a short period, or counted in by other Surrealists. Okay, so I guess it's a wider, more expansive look at Surrealism than you normally get. So you don't have to be cool with Surrealist. Look at this. I mean, look at this fantastic, crazy picture. What more do you need to worry about? Look at that. Mad person by a door just holding a bit of this massive flower. How cool is that? And this one with her crazy hair going up in the air. Just absolutely brilliant. Dorothea Tanning. A girl and a lifelike doll share the landing and staircase of a hotel with a giant sunflower. The tattered clothes and the state of the oversized plants suggest the aftermath of a nightmarish struggle. The unknown threat may have been resisted, although the powerful force drawing the girl's hair up appears very active. Cool. So, I mean, what more do you want than that kind of craziness? Right, let's keep on strolling. Poetic objects. So this is what you call the second room. Does it have a title? The uncanny in the everyday. The only thing that attracts me, wrote Jindřich in Prague in 1935, is searching for surreality hidden in everyday objects. This reflects Surrealism's relationship with the uncanny, a familiar sight made disconcerting and strange by the unexpected. I love a bit of that kind of stuff. I mean, okay, that's a sort of lots of stuff. I wouldn't quite call that exactly the everyday made uncanny, but I'm certainly into that vibe. That's something rather refreshing about Surrealism. Let's have a little look at some of these. Eyal. I'm surprised just how many people are at this press view. We just come from the Whitechapel Artist Studio press view. There's very few people, weirdly enough. This place is packed. It's a weird rock face. That's kind of cool. This sort of weird. What is it? Just a weird kind of head. One of these things look like a weird chameleon on the ceiling. So cool. And what about this? I like this sort of black robed figure in the room chilling out with a white mask. All that kind of stuff is just good, isn't it? Okay. If anybody can incidentally tell me why my GoPro battery is going down so quickly, that would be a mega bonus. I like this one because this is just like, you know, it's just a picture of a normal Athens sort of kind of stuff, but with the chimneys in the background and the smoke, it has got an eerie kind of vibe to it. I love that kind of thing. Right, I'm not sure, I think that must be room 2. Oh, poetic objects. So yeah, so these would be more like poetic objects. Nice way of looking at them. think surrealism kind of a nice thing because everybody can get in on the vibe. Am I meant to be going into this room first? I'm not entirely sure. Let's have a little glimpse. See where I think I'm meant to be going. Still not entirely sure where I'm meant to be going. Oh, I think we're going to go down here. That says 2. Let's see what happens if we go in here. Okay, it's very dark in here, which might mess up the GoPro as well, but we'll see what happens. I don't know quite how the light's going to come out. Anyway, where are we in now? There we go. The World in the Time of the Surrealists. The drawing captured Le Monde au Temps des Surrealistes, The World in the Time of the Surrealists, published in 1929 and enlarged for our exhibition entrance, reimagines the world, challenging geopolitical conventions that use maps as a tool to define territories. The Surrealists' growing anti-imperialist sentiments are demonstrated by placing the Pacific Islands at the centre. They also give prominence to Soviet Russia and arrays the colonising powers of Europe, Japan and the United States. Interesting, isn't it? Surrealism's got quite a mad but sort of brilliant way of changing the world. To possess a telescope without its other essential half, the microscope, seems to me a symbol of the darkest incomprehension. The task for the right eye is to peer into the telescope, while the left eye peers into the microscope. Leonora Carrington, 1943. Cool. Right, strolling on through. Not quite sure what I've got to now. Collective Identities, this room is called. Sorry if we're going a bit quick, we might go back. We've only got half an hour left before this press view shuts, so we're on a bit of a tight time schedule. Surrealism depends, collective identities, this room. Surrealism depends upon a collective body of participants, often working together in response to political or social concerns. This unity acknowledges that working collaboratively is often more powerful than as an individual in isolation. Viewed across time and place, this quality is manifested in group exhibitions and demonstrations, co-written manifestos and declarations, and broadly shared and circulated artistic, political and social values. Quite interesting, actually this exhibition is quite vast. You could spend quite a long time here. This is actually kind of cool. Algiers Pan-African Festival. Ted Jones, Traveller. Poet, musician and artist Ted Jones's identity was shaped by travel and dislocation. To travel was to discard what he saw as the constraints of nationality, language and culture. He left the US twice in rejection of its systematic racism, once in the early 60s and again about 30 years later, following the murder by police officers of Amadou Diallo, a young black man in the Bronx. Jones formally engaged with the Surrealists after a chance meeting with Andre Breton in Paris. His saying, "Jazz is my religion, Surrealism is my point of view," reflects the fluidity of his lifestyle as he moved through North and Central America, North and West, Africa and Europe. Interesting. Jazz is my religion, Surrealism is my point of view. Actually giving you a slightly different vibe of Surrealism already. In that, I really just thought it was those straightforward things, but I suppose actually Surrealism is more of a kind of, did you say political kind of thing? Whatever it is, it certainly has more, you can let it seep quite happily into your everyday existence. Converge points, Haiti, Martinique and Cuba, this room is called. Our Surrealism will enable us finally to transcend the sordid antinomies of the present. We shall recover the metal of our metal, our cutting edge of steel, our unique communions. Surrealism, the tightrope of our hope. Kind of funky there by Suzanne Césaire, 1943. Intriguing. It's got a real, I do like this kind of vibe that Surrealism is. Almost something you can live by every day. Probably should do. crazy little pictures, aren't they? Oh man. Hector Hippolyte, this is by. Hippolyte was a third generation Haitian Vodou priest and self-taught artist. Intriguing. Engaged with the religious practices of the African diaspora in Haiti. He would retire from his religious work while continuing to paint. Intriguing. Oh man, that snake really reminds me of a snake by, I completely forgotten his name at the moment. But he was in the Art Top 10 lockdown exhibitions. So there we go. Try the snake in that picture. It really reminds me of a snake in a picture by Andrew Stahl. It's creeping up behind him while he's sitting at his computer screen. Right, let's keep going. Interesting. It's kind of like a quickish kind of vlog, strolling around this thing. What's this dude up to? I don't just really want to ruin his film. Okay, I think we can squeeze by. Right, oh wow, look at this kind of crazy, mad, long bit of paper with mad drawings all over it. Really funky. Oh, look at that. What's quite nice about Surrealism is there's kind of freedom to it. It's not quite so laboured and tortured. And literally, we're just at the Whitechapel Gallery with its exhibition on. With its exhibition on artist studios. And I particularly like just the little simple drawings people have done in their studios, like Tracy Emin or Lucian Freud. They weren't the usual traumatised things that put a real effort into making a point. And something about Surrealism is a bit like that as well. It's kind of just like, look at it, you just got mad stuff. Like, look at that mad creature over there. We're going to have a closer look at it in a moment. I mean, what is that? There's some giant green thing standing in a mountaintop. What is it doing? It's lurking there in a kind of Sound of Music picture. That's a really cool René Magritte. Look at that fantastic train just shooting out of the fireplace. Absolute balminess. That's so cool. I actually think I'd find this exhibition anything like as good as I am. Well, these are cool. Look at that little shadow box. Such a funky little thing. Absolutely amazing. Really nice. More mad stuff. Look at that weird dog. Look at its insane ears. Look at them. Just flying up into the sky. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. I have no idea why the dog's got those massive ears, but it's brilliant. Everybody should have a dog with giant ears. Right, what's this film about? Maya Deren Atland. Atland alludes to the series of descents of dislocation expressed in the French term d'abysmal, the state of being unlanded. Surrealists often sought to approach this poetic state in order to arrive at a newly productive place of awareness. Nice. With the political and social upheavals of the last century, d'abysmal also relates to the more serious realities of displaced peoples, exiles, and diasporic communities. Very cool, actually. State of being unlanded, and that's what the Surrealists were looking for. Kind of like these crazy films. Sorry, I'm standing in the way of everybody. Oh, I like that shadow of that chair. Really good. These videos are so cool. There's a bit of the G's and Mary Jane playing in the background, but other than that, it's rather magnificent. Right, creep on round this way. Some sort of... Oh, these are kind of freaky. I like these weird... That's a weird photo, isn't it? Just got a kind of crazy vibe. Claude de Cajun. These are. Oops, sorry. Made images express a defiant sense of desire. It's really weird. Oh, I still want to get back to this crazy griffin dog over here. If I can get it's just such a mad dog. There we go. Creep up to it now. Look at it. Look at that thing. Sort of griffin dog. What is it doing? It's absolutely balmy. It's so cool. Look at it with its mad eyes. There's a guy playing pool on top of it. I mean, absolutely brilliant. How cool is that? Just so crazy. And fun, apart from anything. Just kind of fun. Right, let's keep on strolling. If we get through too quickly, we might come back and have a look at other things. Interesting, it was in 1930. Claude Cajun. Shuffle the cards. Masculine, feminine, depends on the situation. Neuter is the only gender that always suits me. If it existed in our language, no one would be able to see my thoughts, vacillations. I'd be a worker bee for good. Intriguing. Oh, handsome El Balma, these are always weird little things. Kind of disturbing. And these Lionel Vent. Very intriguing, mad sort of silver acetane things. No, that weird little thing we were just filming is by Giacometti, this wooden cage. Hadn't realised that. Didn't realise that Giacometti had that much to do with the Surrealists. But Giacometti joined the Paris Surrealists in 1930 at the invitation of André Breton. He was so impressed by one of his sculptures that he purchased it immediately for his collection. Intriguing. Right, what room are we in now? Convergent Point, Mexico City. Intriguing. Oh, that's quite fun. A bit of Mexican surrealism. But I mean, I'm not entirely sure that's surreal. Mexico's just got that weird vibe to it anyway. I mean, it's just a bit more... you know, everybody in Mexico is more willing to meet aliens or see aliens and stuff like that. It's also a bit more of a kind of... Probably everybody in Mexico is more in touch with that kind of surrealistic, trippy side of themselves. This is cool, isn't it? I mean, I suppose this has been sort of taken over as being Surrealist. So what it says is Convergent Point in Mexico City. In Mexico City as another location, taking up Surrealism meant grappling with the dual forces of internationalism and nationalism. Mexican muralism, Diego Rivera, David Alfaro, Sigueras, and Jose Clemente, or Zoco's grand narrative murals, had taken on an official government role since the Mexican Revolution. During the 1930s, however, the poets and artists of Los Contemporáneos, the contemporaries, including Maria Izquierdo, distanced themselves from muralism, and along with Frida Kahlo, forged connections with Surrealism. Interesting. And I actually realised they actually did that. Quite intriguing. Quite a lot I did not know about Surrealism in this show. It's like a mad, gigantic head of hair popping out of nowhere. Oh, look, with that weird sort of bird running off with like a rat. Crazy. It's around here. And that's weird, that's a person making that kind of weird shape out of themselves. More of these crazy things as we go along. I mean, when I say crazy, I mean crazy in a good way. Oh, look at that fantastic weird eyeball. Absolutely brilliant. Look at it. Oh, I'm a mad eyeball. Salinas, Laurent Marcel Salinas, who did this, signed a 1938 group manifesto. Long live degenerate art. Fantastic. It declared art a means to liberate society and the individual from the artificial restrictions of nationality, religion, and ethnicity. Salinas' choice of a disembodied and tentacle eye explores a subject frequently depicted by surrealists as a surrogate for male castration anxieties, the naked eyeball. Anyway, it's a cool eyeball. Come over here, we've got these photos. Oh, Lee Miller. I can't remember. Oh, Lee Miller. One of those photographers that I'm sure she did something else as well. Miller provides a link between Cairo, Paris and London, having married the businessman Aziz El-Ubay. Bringing publications and artworks from her years in Paris Surrealist circles. Interesting, I've heard of it before. Kind of funky, and that's a cool photo, isn't it? Mad kind of split material. Carry on, let's keep on strolling on. See what we get to next. Intriguing exhibition. Could spend ages here looking at the different things. What room are we in now? Oh, this is the end, so I haven't missed out on that one earlier. Alternative Orders, this one's called. Leonora Carrington. While exploring dreams and summoning the unconscious to upset the status quo, Surrealism had also depended on forms of knowledge, patterns of belief and ways of life outside urbanized modernity. These alternative orders, located through the research and practice of each individual artist, have the power to challenge established systems and spark the potential for acts of liberation. Surrealist inquiry has benefited from retrieving or uncovering the past, sometimes merging several unrelated traditions or positioning itself between them. For example, Gitawai Nobura drew upon both the Taoist ancient Chinese religion and philosophy book of the I Ching and German author Wolfgang von Goethe's book on the theory of colour. Lovely. For some, like Kurt Seligman, the search is extended to magic and alchemy. I like that. I love that fragmentation juxtaposition. It's nice. I like that. It gives you a real chance of doing something crazy, doesn't it? You juxtapose things. Look at these teeny tiny little crazy drawings. Something nice about it. Something about surrealism you don't find a lot of the rest of art. It's actually quite you know, kind of free. You can do what you want with it. You don't have to be restricted, being told what to do, which is how we normally are. It's funny, the art world is quite restrictive, I think, in its own way. But surrealism does give you a sort of way out of that restrictive process. Okay, so we lost power back there because the battery got too hot. But it's given me a chance to come back to this room we missed at the beginning. Mayu Antoine Melakis. Kind of, it's quite nice, this room. It's big. Somebody's just wandering too close to the wire down there, setting the alarm off. It's quite nice, these big paintings. That is genuinely weird. There are all these weird, freaky little nutcase things in it, man. Oh, I've done it as well now. I've now gone too close to the wire. This is called Juan Mira. Nice one, that, isn't it? Man, that wire is, I think it's probably set it's too highly to go off at the moment. Kind of like a surrealist thing. Maybe you could have a surrealist exhibition where you allowed people where the wire was so alarmed wherever you went near anything, it would go off. Kind of like that idea. Right, these are kind of slightly... That mad bird in the centre. Look at that mad bird. Fantastic. For this reason, rather refreshing today. It's just giving you a whole new kind of lease of life. Here's, of course, Picasso did a bit of surrealism stuff as well. This is a quote by Andre Breton. Surrealism is based on belief in the superior reality of certain forces of previously neglected associations, in the omnipotence of dream and the disinterested play of thought. This tends to ruin once and for all other psychic mechanisms and to substitute itself for them in solving all the principal problems of life. Interesting. Rather good way of describing it. Interesting. So the Surrealist is Picasso's three dancers, or les trois danseurs. The Surrealists greatly admired the three dancers. To make the work, Picasso started with a realistic representation of ballet dancers rehearsing. His approach was transformed when he heard of the death of Ramon Pichet, which brought back memories of the suicide of their mutual friend Carlos Casagemas. Recognizing the power of sex and violence infused in the painting, Andre Breton persuaded, it must mean, the artist to allow it to be reproduced for the first time in his essay, Le Surrealisme et la peinture, Surrealism and Painting. Interesting. I suppose you got that kind of mystical dream-like head popping out of here, and then over here you got that crazy screaming face. But it's interesting, it's not actually that madly different from like this picture we're looking over here. This one here with that sort of, this has got like a screaming mouth in it as well. Down at the bottom, that screaming mouth. But Picasso sort of manages to, it's quite interesting, he always makes it kind of, a weird thing to say about Picasso, he kind of makes it pretty at the same time as having a screaming mouth. So it makes it still very approachable. Intriguing. I hadn't thought about that before. Picasso does kind of make it approachable. Eyal, c'est Jojo de Churko, Le Rêve de Toby, the giant thermometer. Cool giant thermometer. The cryptic text, Eyal, suggests private meanings hidden in de Churko's mysterious canvas. Surrealist poet Paul Edouard owned this painting and placed it in the bureau where it was installed along with a plaster figure of a woman and a copy of Fantomas, a popular crime novel. Fixed to the wall by forks. Cool. While Scirocco did not join the Paris group officially, those in the bureau welcomed him because they long found a connection with his enigmatic dream imagery. It is just a cool picture, that, isn't it? No doubt about it. Oh, it's a crazy wrapped up box over here. Man Ray. What's that by Man Ray? The Enigma of Isidora Ducasse. This object featured on the first page of the inaugural issue of La Révolution Surrealiste, with the text, Surrealism opens the door of the dream to all those for whom night is misery. It embodies the phrase by poet Isidore Ducasse that inspired many surrealists, as beautiful as the chance encounter of a sewing machine and an umbrella on an operating table. Man Ray's photographs serve as an important early documents of the group's activities. Interesting. Didn't know Man Ray made more kind of what you call sculptural objects these days. Right, yes, so this is the remembrance at the beginning, basically. Oh, it's called Revolution First and Always. Revolution is a central idea for surrealism, as it offers the possibility for transformation and liberation. Since its conception, surrealism has challenged predominant systems of power and privilege, division and exclusion, has been emboldened by a growing chorus of voices. Surrealism has presented a model for political engagement and agitation for artists, many of whom have been arrested for subversive behaviour. Yeah, I think it's quite inspiring, surrealism, isn't it? It does kind of keep you... All these things, they're just so much fun. Just different ways of looking at everything. All these weird little fingers. Joan Battle Planas, the message. The composition and title of this painting suggests that a message is being passed between the figures. like a number of Argentinian artists, Battle Planas embraced surrealism with enthusiasm in part of the protest against the popular conservatism of political leader Juan Perón. Right, we're back in the last room, having nipped back to that room that we missed at the beginning. GoPro keeps overheating today, even though it's not particularly hot in London as ever. And the battery is still plunging down. But anyway, so a quick look at the last room. Automatism. Surrealist automatism represents, much like the harnessing of dreams, a way to free the mind and challenge the rationalism of the modern world. And conscious creation like doodling has been a catalyst for an array of artists working on related processes and improvisation. For example, a dynamic group of poets in the 1940s Aleppo embraced automatic techniques. They sought to free the mysterious moments of human creativity from a superimposed reasoning in order to reach repressed thoughts or what lies behind reality. Lovely stuff, isn't it? That's what you want, nothing like sort of automatic writing or crazy automatic painting. I'm assuming these pictures are from this group. And that goes on down here. I also do like the mad photos of surrealism. Look at them, they're so cool. Especially like that one there. I don't know why, but I mean something normal, like somebody jumping around the snow, suddenly becomes completely mad. I like these simple line drawings stuck into kind of what looks like a photo. Intriguing. Who's that by? Oh, Ashel Gorky here. I recognise that kind of, weirdly enough, kind of the way the paint's put on. Reminds me of Helen Frankenthaler I just saw at the Whitechapel Gallery. Anyway, this is a cracking show. Much bigger than we've had time to properly show you today, but yeah, it's definitely worth coming. I mean, I think already it's shown me there's a lot more to surrealism than I thought, and I think it's so refreshing. I do feel the modern art world is terribly constrained, controlled. You've got to work within certain set practices, so it's lovely to see just this kind of mad abandon of ideas. We could do with a bit more surrealism today, because it upends all that sort of way that people like to think about art, or tell you to make art, or produce things. So, I will definitely come see this. As ever, please like and subscribe to top10.com and my other channel, Travel Dog. And lovely, thanks so much. Auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, hadar fizz, goodbye, ciao, see you soon.
Bumbuckler.